Hi, my name is Danny Ziemann, and you're about to watch a lesson from my new video course available exclusively through Discover Double Bass. Click the link below to find out more information about it. Continuing from the air bass, the next step for me is to practice playing open strings. And frequently when I have new students, the first thing we'll do is just practice open strings. And the practicing of open strings allows us to think about the way our arm moves, just playing quarter notes. It gets us to focus on reacting to different tension within the string, so trying to keep a consistent sound while dealing with different physical elements. And lastly, it gets me focused on sound. So for me, sound is the most important defining characteristic of my musicianship and the most supportive thing that I can supply my bandmates. And for me, I always think about my sound and my time feel as being synonymous. If I have a consistent sound where the length of note is really well articulated and thoughtful, then that's going to make the time feel even more comfortable for other people. However, if it's kind of haphazard and the accents are different and I'm not really concerned with how my sound is being communicated, then that's going to make my time feel less comfortable. So I would encourage you to think about the importance of sound as the core part of your time feel. So as we're practicing the open strings, I like to practice with a metronome, and I set it to 80 BPM. Now I have an iPhone, I'm an iPhone user, and I have an app called Tempo. And Tempo is just a simple metronome, and the reason I like this, I believe it's $1. I like to set the metronome sound so there's no downbeat and so there's no pitch, because it messes with my focus when I'm practicing. So I typically set it to 1/4 instead of 4/4, so there's no downbeat. And then sound-wise, I set it to some type of wooden block or a blip that has no defining pitch. For this exercise, we're going to set it to 80 BPM. And all I'm going to do is just start from G and go down through G, D, A, and E, and then repeat G, D, A, and E. When I'm doing this, I try to find an articulation that's comfortable for me, a spot to place my hand. Usually I go towards the end of the fingerboard. I'm not going to tell you how to define your sound. That's up to you. There's all this range that you can practice with. So this is more just about the consistency in sound. So. I do this every time I pick up the bass for at least 5 minutes with the metronome. And I think about consistency and articulation. I think about how I'm actually using my arm weight to pull through the string. You'll see some people who will pluck mostly from their finger, or you'll get some of this kind of movement. It's really up to you how you choose to articulate this. My personal preference is to think more about dropping my arm weight into the string, because the larger muscle groups I use, the easier it is for me to keep it in time. And then again, I'm not thinking about time as coming from my finger, but time is coming from a more core central part of my body. So as I'm doing this, I'm also thinking about the articulation that I'm producing. I'm trying to get more of a percussive sound. So that would sound like. That's a huge part of my sound. It's just that articulation. And the stronger and more focused your articulation is, the easier it's going to be for everybody else to be able to understand and relate to your pulse. The sensation that I feel against my finger is almost like when you snap your fingers, where you put a lot of pressure on your finger and then pull it quickly. So it's the same thing just with the first finger. If you can't snap, it's okay. I've had some students tell me they have problems snapping, so don't worry about it. Just try to understand the concept when you're playing it down here. And again, you're just trying to match up with the metronome and get used to all the movements in between the actual articulation of the note. So where the arm weight falls, how much you're prepping it, how consistently loud you are, if you can get the same articulation at a quiet volume, if you can do it higher, maybe below the end of the fingerboard. Again, all those choices are up to you. I would encourage you to explore all of these things as you're going through this exercise. Now, the last thing I do with this is try to play quarter note triplets while maintaining the same pulse. And that's going to be another common theme through these videos, is that we are responsible for manipulating the pulse. And the metronome only helps us keep our time straight, but it's up to us to make everything comfortable within that. So playing quarter note triplets over this pulse is going to help us dip our toe into the pool of working with subdivisions. So as I'm doing this, I'm going to think 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So you can keep the pulse going while you're actually thinking about that. You can stop and get yourself focused and think 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And then I might go back to open strings again. So again, that forms the beginning of my workout, my warm-up, and I want that to be a nice meditative way to get into playing the bass. So 5 minutes of that. Again, 80 BPM I found is a tempo that's not too fast, where you can really get the instrument moving, but it's also not so slow where it feels like you're just dredging through the 5 minutes. So practice this. In the next video, we're going to do a few more subdivisions and different ways you can incorporate different fingerings in the right hand. Thank you for watching the video. I really hope you enjoyed the lesson. For more information, again, click the link below.